Hey guys, welcome back to a straight up pickup video. I haven't done a regular pickup video in years, but that's how I started the Loch Ness Monster channel. You know, I didn't have any rhyme or reason. I was always a collector of games and a few toys, and I used to just pick them up and then show you the stuff that I had, you know, when I had time to make a video. Only later on I got into a little bit of telling a story and showing you how and where I got them with footage from yard sales, thrift shops, flea markets, what have you. You know, basically doing the flea market adventures episode, which, you know, is pretty much a copy of everyone else would, you know, the big guys are doing. But, you know, I've been collecting for years, so we've all been doing it. It's just they were first to start recording it like that. Anyway, a cousin of mine bought a Raspberry Pi. So, you know, he's got every console, every game on a small little Raspberry Pi in a Super Nintendo case. So he told me, he says, look, a friend came over, I sold all my NES games, and it cleared up so much room. I know you're a Super Nintendo guy. Do you want to come by and pick up some games? Of course I wanted to, because I'm collecting Super Nintendo, I'm the Loch Ness Monster, and I have a Toy-Con and video game show that I'm getting ready. I'm getting stuff to sell on my table. So I show up and he had this huge pile. He says $80. And for me, that's perfectly fine. I think there's like 34, 35 games. So that's like $3 a game, maybe a little more, a little less. And, you know, I'll just go through these, no rhyme or reason, just however they're stacked up. So we'll go through the Nintendo 64 games first. So first one is Perfect Dark by Rare. And, you know, they're both great games, but for me, I liked Perfect Dark better than GoldenEye. I'm sure there's a lot of GoldenEye fans out there, but for me, Perfect Dark was the better game. Diddy Kong Racing, a really great game, but, you know, Mario Kart 64 was the game for me. This one is still a great one to have. Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, my second favorite game behind Link to the Past. Still a great game, nice to have. I have a copy, so that will probably be traded or sold. Banjo-Kazooie, another Rare title and another great game. You know, looking back now, the Nintendo 64 had a decent library. Like, I'd say there's between 20 and 50 games that you need to have and play, but there was also some games in there that just, it wasn't ready for 3D. Donkey Kong 64, a great game. Again, I'm more partial to Donkey Kong Country, but still a fun game. WWF Warzone and WWF Attitude. Both good games, but I'm pretty sure everyone would agree No Mercy is the better one. And then Carmageddon 64, you know, you have to have a couple of racing battle games for the Nintendo 64. Not bad. Now, for the Super Nintendo games, I'd say about half of these are going into my collection, and then the rest I'm going to trade or sell. So we'll start off right here. We have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. This is Tournament Fighters. The copy that you want for the expensive, look at what I have on my shelf collector, is the NES version, but this is probably the superior fighting game. Pretty fun. I like it. I have a copy already, but I'm on the fence if I want to get rid of it. This label, believe it or not, is better condition than the one I have. Stanley Cup, NHL Stanley Cup. This had to have been from 1993 because you have an LA King and a Montreal Canadian, probably Patrick Waugh. Those two were in the Cup finals together that year, and that was the last time the Canadians and a Canadian team won the Stanley Cup. Looks great. Looks really great. Plays like shit. Terminator 2, you know, not as good as the arcade, but it's okay. Jurassic Park, a lot of people are for it, and then a lot of people are against it. I myself, I thought it was really good. It's a top-down game. You're Alan Grant, and then when you go into the buildings, it is a first-person kind of 3DS, kind of looks like Doom and Wolfenstein, and then you have to try and collect certain key cards and fight off the dinosaurs, obviously. This is Batman Forever. Again, for the Super Nintendo, obviously. Label is a little torn apart. This was the one, I believe, that kind of looked like Mortal Kombat. Wasn't that great. And then, speaking of which, Mortal Kombat. First Mortal Kombat, need this game. No blood. Vegas Stakes. Wow. Look at that guy. Someone went through that cart. It's Vegas Stakes. You play Vegas games. A game that I know I don't have. This is Hammerlock Wrestling. I haven't played this game before, and I don't know anything about it, so you know the routine. If you do know something about it, good or bad, what kind of gameplay it is, let me know down in the comments. But chances are I probably will have played it by the time we get to this video. Still happy to have this. Last Action Hero, another game on the Super Nintendo that I haven't played before, so this is going right into the collection. The Tick. I'm guessing based on the comic cartoon in the mid-90s. You know, it's hard to call myself the Loch Monster because this is a couple of games that I haven't played in a row. I haven't tried The Tick, but I'm going to give it a go. Lester the Unlikely. I'm sure if you're a video game fan, you've seen the AVGN's review on it. Not the greatest game, but, you know, it looks pretty good for a Super Nintendo game, and I'm going to keep it. True Lies, another Schwarzenegger movie-based game. This is, take it or leave it. I kind of like True Lies. WCW Super Brawl. Wrestling games on the Super Nintendo aren't horrible, so I'm hoping that Hammerlock is pretty good. Scooby-Doo Mystery. This is something that I would have rented when I was like 11 or 12 years old. I know I played it, but off the top of my head, I can't remember how good or bad it is. The Untouchables, a game I do not have, by Ocean. I'm hoping that it's a side-scroller, but, you know, if not, we're going to give this a try. Demolition Man, a Snipes and Stallone movie-based game. Haven't played it. You know, it's actually a good thing that I haven't played a lot of these games because, you know, now I can, on the weekend, go through all of them, make sure that they're working properly, so that if I do decide to trade them or sell them, I can be confident in knowing that they work. And also, it'll be a new experience. Donkey Kong Country, fantastic game. If not one of the best games on the Super Nintendo, you know, you have to play this one. A lot of people will tell you the second one is better, but, you know, I love this game. WWF Raw. Fun game. Like to do the power moves. I'm not sure. I know Royal Rumble is out, and that's the good one. You always play the Royal Rumble mode, but I think there's a Battle Royale or something similar in here. Fun game nonetheless. Characters look good. Super WrestleMania. This one I have on Super Famicom, and that's what I was playing it on before, so I'm sure I'll enjoy it, and it'll be a little easier to play on the Super Nintendo. There's the good one. This is the one. WWF Royal Rumble. This one, the label is, I'd say, comparable to the one I have, so this will probably get traded. Bram Stoker's Dracula. A side-scroller, you take control of Keanu Reeves. You know, not horrible, not great. Good title, kind of moderately pricey title. Zombies Ate My Neighbors. I know this is probably about $50 at my local retro store, so I have 2 copies of this already, Super Nintendo and Genesis, so this will get traded or sold. Another Vegas Stakes, and this one doesn't have a big punch hole through it, so I'm going to check the other one. As long as it works, I'll keep the one with the hole in it, I don't care, and then I'll see what I can get for this one. There goes the Tower of Games. Wheel of Fortune Deluxe Edition. I haven't played it before, but I've played Wheel of Fortune games. I'm guessing that it's going to be very similar, where you spin the wheel and you try and solve the puzzles. A game for the Super Scope. This is Battle Clash. This is where you're kind of flying or running around and you're trying to shoot the targets to attack the big robots. You know, not horrible, pretty good. And then Bubsy. I think the first Bubsy is better than the second one. I remember they weren't that great. I don't know if it was trying to be a knockoff Sonic the Hedgehog, but, you know, not the worst Super Nintendo game you can have, but definitely not the best. What do we have here? In Claws Encounters of the Furried Kind. Yes, play on words. Good job, Super Nintendo. So I got all of these games for $80, and like I'm not sure if I mentioned, but he's also big in toys, but he's more of a wrestling collector and a Ninja Turtles collector. So he had this cool ass Spawn just sitting on the top of a bunch of boxes, stuff he was cleaning out, and he said, "You can have it." And then it's got plastic synthetic cloth-like wings that can be folded back to kind of represent his cape, and then when you press the skull on his belt, they'd pop out and you get this Spawn figure. And it's actually probably about like, geez, maybe like 14, 16 inches. Pretty cool. So everything all together, I gotta say thank you very much to my cousin, and you know, quick impromptu pickup video. Thanks for watching, guys. I'd like to talk to you down in the comments. Take care.